Have you ever wondered how a single idea can change the world? Well, today we're going on a journey, a 2,500-year journey, to follow one specific idea. It's an idea that started with the ancient Greeks and ended up shaping philosophy, bridging religions, and really building the very foundations of Western thought. So think about this for a second. What on earth could possibly link a Greek philosopher staring at a river, a Jewish scholar in Egypt, and the apostles who started Christianity? It seems impossible, right? But there is a common thread. And believe it or not, it all comes down to one single, powerful Greek word.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to figure out what this word logos actually is. Then we'll see where it all began, that first little seed in Greece. We'll follow it as it crosses this amazing bridge into Judaism, and then watch as it gets totally transformed by Christianity. And finally, we'll bring it all the way to today, because this ancient idea, well, it might be more important now than ever. Okay, first things first. Before we can track this idea through history, we've got to get a handle on the word itself, logos. And let me tell you, this isn't some simple one-note word. It's got layers.
So, logos. On the surface, it can just mean word, like the words I'm speaking now. But it goes so much deeper. It can also mean reason or logic. And at its biggest, most cosmic level, it points to this idea of a divine principle, a kind of creative order or an intelligence that's woven into the very fabric of the universe. It's that huge, profound meaning that really grabbed people's imaginations. Our story kicks off way back, around 500 BC in ancient Greece. There was this philosopher, Heraclitus, and he looked around at a world that seemed totally chaotic and always changing. But he suspected that underneath all that chaos, there was something else, a hidden logic, a unifying pattern. Now, this timeline gives you a great snapshot of our whole journey. Look at the span of time here. We start with Heraclitus, way back in 500 BC. Centuries later, Philo of Alexandria comes along and builds this crucial bridge. Then, bam! Early Christian thinkers like Justin Martyr and Irenaeus just completely redefined the whole thing. And we're going to follow that thread all the way up to a major speech in 2006 by Joseph Ratzinger. Each one is a critical piece of the puzzle. Heraclitus was the guy who first took logos and made it this big, cosmic idea. When he says, "Don't listen to me, listen to the speaker," he's not talking about himself. The speaker is the logos. He was convinced there was this universal reason, this divine wisdom that connects every single thing. True wisdom for him wasn't about listening to some guru. It was about getting in sync with that cosmic intelligence. So for hundreds of years, logos was pretty much just a cool philosophical concept. But then, right around the time of Jesus, something incredible happened in the city of Alexandria. A brilliant Jewish philosopher named Philo took this Greek idea and used it to find a whole new layer of meaning in his own sacred scriptures. This was a game changer. You see, Philo was wrestling with a huge theological puzzle. If God is perfect and totally separate from our messy physical world, how does he even interact with it? How does he create? And his answer was the Logos. He pictured the Logos as the mind of God, the divine blueprint for creation. It wasn't God himself, but it was the perfect pattern through which God made and organized everything. It was the ultimate intermediary. And this is where it gets really clever. Philo looked at the book of Genesis and noticed what looked like two different stories of how man was created. He said, that's not a contradiction. Instead, he argued, they're describing two different things. There's the heavenly man, the perfect idea, the blueprint of humanity that exists in the Logos, and then there's the earthly man, the one made from clay, the physical person who is, stamped with the image of that perfect heavenly idea. So, Philo built this incredible bridge between Greek philosophy and Jewish theology. And in the next couple of centuries, early Christian thinkers came along and marched right across it. But they didn't just borrow the idea of logos. No, they did something far more radical. They completely turned it on its head.
And right here, this is the pivot point for the whole story. For the Greeks, for Philo, the logos was a principle, a plan, an idea. It was a what. But for the early Christians, especially the author of the Gospel of John, the Logos was a person. It was a who. He writes, "In the beginning was the Word, the Logos, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word became flesh." For them, the eternal divine reason of the universe had a name, Jesus Christ.
Now, thinkers like Justin Martyr had to figure this out.
If Jesus is the full logos, what does that mean for all the wise people who lived before him, like Socrates and Plato? Were they just totally in the dark? Justin's answer was beautiful. He said that seeds of the logos, little sparks of that divine reason, are planted in every human being. That's why even a pagan philosopher could stumble upon a piece of the truth. But in Christ, he argued, you didn't just get a seed, you got the whole thing.
Then you get a church father named Irenaeus, who came up with this mind-bending concept called recapitulation. The best way to think about it is like this. Irenaeus said that when the Logos became human, he didn't just wave a magic wand to fix things. He actually entered into the human story to live it all over again, but this time to live it perfectly. He summed up every part of human life, from being a baby to an adult, and by doing that, he healed it from the inside out. He basically rebooted humanity, restoring what was broken by Adam. And another theologian, Origen, added this incredible image to the mix. He suggested that we think of the church as a body. And what gives a body life? A soul. For Origen, Christ, the Logos, is the soul of the church. He's the invisible, life-giving principle that animates all the individual members and connects them into one single living thing. Okay, so we followed this idea all the way from ancient Greece through the first few centuries of Christianity. It's a pretty wild intellectual ride. But let's be real for a second. It's totally fair to ask, this is all fascinating, but it's a 2,000-year-old theological idea. Why should I care about it now? Well, to answer that, we're going to fast forward to our own time and look at the work of a modern thinker, Joseph Ratzinger, who you probably know as Pope Benedict XVI. In a really famous speech he gave in 2006, he took this ancient idea of the Logos and placed it right at the center of today's biggest conversations about faith, reason, and even violence. Here's why Ratzinger says the Logos is so crucial for us today. First, it makes this massive claim that the universe isn't just random, chaotic stuff. It's grounded in a creative reason. That right there creates a space where faith and science can actually talk to each other. But here's the kicker. If God is Logos, if God's very nature is reason, then to act against reason, say by using violence to force belief on someone, is to act against the very nature of God. It's a powerful argument for peace.
And this is where the whole 2,500-year journey comes together. Ratzinger says that the Christian idea of Logos doesn't just stop with the cold, distant, calculating reason. It takes that ultimate cosmic intelligence and fuses it with something else, love. The idea is that the power that created and holds the entire universe together isn't just smart, it's personal, it's relational, and its fundamental nature is love.
And so that's what it all comes down to, this one final massive question for us to think about. This idea started as a vague principle in Greece and evolved into a divine person who is both the ultimate reason and the ultimate love. If that's true, if the very fabric of reality is woven from both reason and love, how would that change the way we look at everything? How would it change the way we treat each other and the way we search for meaning in our own lives?